Yes, welcome Alicia. Welcome Alicia to the Black Actors Canada Spotlight segment. I'm your host Duke Robinson. I just want to thank you for spending some time with us today. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Long day, but good one.
Nice, nice. I've seen that you are doing so many big things. You're directing films, short films, documentaries. You've even done some music videos. Tell me, like, how do you feel being a female director? How's that?
Oh, you froze for a second there. Well, I mean, I am a woman, but I am a director. I don't think it's a specific how do
Yeah.
I feel as a woman that's also
Yeah, like
directing?
in the industry, that's it's predominantly it's always been like a lot of males doing directing and stuff like that, and
Yes,
and
sure.
let's call it out actors as well in the industry. But you being a black female, how does that feel for you, and how does that work for you in this industry?
I mean, so far so good. I do think, yes, it's true what you're saying. There definitely has been more of a focus on white men telling stories of either white men or everybody else. So I think it is certainly about time that Black people start telling our own stories and women start telling our own stories and queer people start telling our own stories. I think
Mhm.
I think perspective is always important. And until we get to a place where everybody has the same privilege to tell their stories, I don't think other people should come in and tell others. So I feel very privileged to have had the opportunity to tell stories about Black women and tell stories about myself and other Black people, coming at it with a sense of empathy and care that I don't feel is always put in by non-Black people telling stories about us. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, telling black stories, and as a woman, you've done the movie Pick. It is about black culture and black hair and the stigma about racism with black hair. And so talk to me about that. What made you make that movie? Why was that so important to you?
It's a pretty universal experience to have an afro or natural hair and have somebody um comment on it or make you feel like it's wrong or bad. And I kind of just kept thinking, I have a story about hair. Pretty much every Black woman I know has a story about hair, their hair. And I felt at the time when I was writing it, which was 2016, that I hadn't really seen anything that was capturing, I think, the pain that was associated with people's negativity towards our hair. Certainly, I'm happy to say there's like so much more now that is about Black hair, and I think we can have a million films about Black hair because everybody has a story about their hair. And yeah, but I mean, I was just inspired by my own story. This film takes place also on Picture Day, and I remember that day being such a big deal as a kid, like having to have my hair be perfect. And I really just wanted to capture this, I would say, lack of care that schools and institutions as a whole had when it came to Black women in our hair. Like there was way too many stories that saw, and I'm still seeing about Black woman gets fired for wearing afro, Black child has to cut off locks to compete, Black girl wears afro and gets sent home from school. And I just think that's obviously the wrong message to send, especially Black children. Like
Mhm.
we're all just trying to grow to love ourselves, and then you have this additional thing in a hard time of your life. Being a kid is hard, and then you have your school telling you your hair is wrong.
Right.
So that really bothered me, and I really just wanted to show I wanted people to see a Black girl's perspective in hopes to empathize, and we can change that.
What is some of the feedback you've gotten from viewers that have seen that short?
I mean, pretty good feedback. We played it in several festivals, and we were really lucky to have had in-person screenings before all of this. So, I can't compare any awards. Awards are great, but I think the best feeling that I've gotten is like when people, especially Black women, had come up to me after a screening and just
Mhm.
told me like, "Thank you for making this movie." And then I'll get an equal amount of non-Black people saying, "Oh wow, I didn't even know this was a thing. So thank you for making this movie." So, I mean, I really did want to capture Black people's experiences, but I also really wanted to educate, and I feel proud to say that I think the film is doing that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So as you mentioned awards, I see that you got the Canadian Screen Award
Hmm.
for the live action drama. Talk to me about that. When you've heard that you were getting that award, how did that make you feel, and how did that come about?
Um, yeah, so we submitted step one, and then it was uh, amazing when we figured out we got nominated. I do remember because I live with one of the producers who is my sister, and she came in on the morning of the announcements that we were nominated, and told me, and it was a super exciting, wonderful moment.
Yeah.
And then, sadly, the event itself got canceled, but it was really special to just be, excuse me, sitting on the couch at home with my family and to find out that we won. And I mean, it's a really big deal. Like, a lot of Canadian filmmakers who are very successful now today have won that award with, their early work. So I think it means a lot to have been recognized, because I think when you look at institutions, like, the Oscars, like the Canadian Screen Awards, like, you look at those things, sometimes it feels like, oh, are they going to get it? Are
Right.
they going to get this film? Just going back to what we were saying earlier, like, it's not like Black people's stories have always been front and center. So it was, and we've been at a lot of festivals. There's a lot of times we didn't win things, and um, I think this was like our second major award. So um, it was really special, and it just kind of felt nice to be recognized. But like I said, I think weighing that with
Mhm.
people saying they like the film, it's all kind of the same. But I do think this, for me as a creator, did help elevate my career, which is obviously also important. I am trying to make a living off of this thing. So it was a really nice blessing and recognition.
So what's next for you? What projects are you working on now? What's next for you?
Well, I'm always working on a million things. So, weirdly enough, because I definitely at the beginning of COVID kind of had really nothing going on, and then there was an explosion of things. So, what I have recently released, which is out now, is actually a documentary about Black hair, that I made for Lush, and I'm super proud of that. And that was a really great piece for me because I feel like I told part of my own story with Pick, but I kind of got to help enable three subjects to tell their hair journeys, and they all have three very different experiences that they shared.
Right.
And I think it ended up being a really beautiful piece. So that's online now. It's called Naturally, and it's on YouTube. Um, what I'm working on a couple of things. One is a spiritual sequel to Pick. I decided after I made Pick, which doesn't really have the happiest ending, that I didn't want that to be the last thing that I was going to say about um, being a young Black girl.
Right.
So I am making another film called On a Sunday at 11, and it's about a Black girl who is the only Black girl in her ballet class. And it's basically about the community and sisterhood of Black women, and how we're always with each other spiritually, even when we're the only one in the room, which I think is probably a very familiar feeling for a lot of Black people. And I'm in film. There's a lot of times I'm the only one in the room, but
Right.
I do have a very strong community. So it's a very fantastical, like, there's going to be dream sequences, and it's going to be, it's kind of just like this girl's technically alone, but this community is always with her. And I'm going to kind of show that through very cool fantasy things. So it's going
That's
to be really
amazing.
fun shooting this summer.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah.
That's amazing. So, with that being said, you being in the industry, a powerful, strong Black woman, telling our stories, talking about Black hair, talking about the culture for up and coming young Black females or even males that want to get into the industry. What advice do you have for them? What can they do to put their best foot forward to get into the industry?
Um, well, to get into the industry, that is a whole thing. But I would say just tell your stories. I think the best place to start is with personal stories. And as much as I might have thought in the beginning that I was at a disadvantage, which I am in many ways,
Yeah.
um, I recognize that something that I perceived as a disadvantage for me personally ended up being advantage because I knew I was saying things that hadn't been said in this exact way. So I think even though it can be daunting when you look at the fact that there's only been 4 studio feature films ever directed by Black women in the history of cinema, like, that's a very disappointing figure. But that's gonna change, and there are people paving the way right now, so I would just say, like, don't let statistics or, you know, all of that bog you down because now is the time to tell stories. People are listening, I would say, more than ever. And if you kind of tap into your own personal experiences, I'm the proof. I was
Mhm.
writing this film about black hair, being like, oh my gosh, is anybody gonna care? And a lot of people, sure, probably don't get the film, but there are so many people who do.
I think a
And
lot of people get the film. I think a lot of people get it.
yes.
I do.
Thank you. Yeah, but all I'm saying is when I was writing it, I couldn't see the proof in mainstream media that people would get it. I was just kind of like, this is a very quiet, non-dramatic film about this girl going through this day. So my advice would just be, look at people doing what you want to do, like find if you see it, you can be it, find the people's careers that you want to have, connect with those people and try to find a mentor, but mainly just it all starts with having a good film, really and
Mhm.
truly. Get your film made. It starts with that because even me, I'm still reaching out to people, you know, getting advice, but I have a good film and I just say, like, look at my film. And that's kind of like the conversation piece. So really you just have to make your own film and get whatever, information you can, try to get grants, apply for everything. That's what I did and do. Um, and just try to make something really good from the heart.
Awesome. So for you, being a director, is there anybody that you would want to work with right now? Any actors that you'd want to work with? Any production houses that you'd want to work with right now to get out there?
I mean, if in a dream world, I would love to work with Viola Davis.
Nice.
She's amazing, and I just think every time she has the opportunity to speak, she says something powerful and amazing. So, yeah, I would love. So I guess I'm saying is like she's talented, but she's also
Mhm.
using her platform and her voice to just to keep standing up for black women, which is something that I really care about. And obviously she's a great actress and she's the bomb. And I would also I like to really experiment with style and do crazy like production design and cool things. And you don't traditionally see a lot of that in maybe like a drama.
Right.
But I would love to work with Beyonce, the other queen,
Right.
because she does these musical films, which I'm sure we're all aware of,
Mhm.
Lemonade being one of them. And I would love, and she usually works with a bunch of black directors on each one. And I would love to get to just do something creatively with crazy budget, but just something where, we make a crazy set or like we have like, really cool style because I think in her pieces, it's
Mhm.
not, it's very, there's a lot of experimenting visually going on, and she'll go from different styles. So I think that would be a really cool project. And obviously it's Beyonce. So,
Of course, who wouldn't want to work with Beyonce or Viola Davis for sure?
yeah,
Two
exactly.
powerhouses, right? So for you, when you're doing your movies and you're casting, how does that work for you? Like, is it a difficult process for casting in, especially in Toronto? I always hear people saying they don't know where to find actors and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, the Black Actors Canada, that's why we've kind of put this together so we can bring awareness to for actors, directors, writers, producers, so they have a platform and they have somewhere that they can reach out to. So what's that process look like for you when you're casting for some of your projects?
It's a lot of outreach. So the last at least 3 projects I've done have been black casts. So I do tons of grassroots roots outreach. So yes, I do have like accounts at like casting workbook, casting website, like Mandy.
Mhm.
I will post on those, but I will always post on Black Toronto Community Group, which is like 10,000 people. I literally have a list of Facebook groups that I will post on that are just like casting
Mhm.
groups. And then I will also usually individually email Black people I know and just be like, hey, when I was doing that documentary, I was like, if you know anybody, or if you want to be in it, submit. So it is a very, I do work really hard to try to get my castings to reach as many people as possible. And even with Pick, like now I have more contacts and stuff. So I
Mhm.
think it's a little bit easier. But with Pick, I really didn't. Like I was kind of just starting. At least when we were doing the casting.
Mhm.
So we would, we didn't have very many submissions. I mean, it wasn't a role. It was like a, I don't know, I don't remember what we put on the casting, but from 8 to 12, young Black girl with natural hair. Like there was maybe 10 people. And
Mhm.
then we looked at the casting websites because there was directories, and we found the actress, and we were like, oh, you have a beautiful afro. Like, do you want to audition for this role?
Right.
So, we even for that, we emailed schools, we emailed acting schools. So it is really just a ton of emailing to try to reach people. And I've worked with a lot of first time actors almost every project.
Mhm.
So, I will always consider, people who are just interested in being in a piece and maybe not long term wanting to do acting, but it's just a lot of outreach. And I'm pretty sure Black Actors Canada has also shared some of my posts. So, having these
Yes.
types of supports is super helpful.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Alicia, we don't want to take up all your time. We want to thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure sitting down and talking to you. If there's anything that we could do for you, please reach out to Black Actors Canada. This has been another Black Actors
Definitely.
Canada interview, Spotlight Edition. We will talk to you guys next time. Peace.